Hello, and Matt here from Life of a Kung Fu Master. So, again, if you're new to this channel, it's me just talking about some topics that hopefully will interest people if they're in our tribe, if you like, and want to work on personal development. It is geared for maybe men, but don't that put you off if you're a female, because yeah, you might find some of this useful as well. Okay, I can only speak from a man's point of view. So today's topic is on vulnerability, learning to be vulnerable. And if you're anything like myself, who's put on these barriers for quite a long time, then I've done martial arts for most of my life, and I like to be tough and hard and things like that. But the benefits of learning to be vulnerable, and I'm working on this all the time. It's something that I really have worked on. I've tried to work on it for a long time, but it's one of the most hardest things that I can do. Okay, I'm good at talking in groups with people. I'm good at getting intimate and talking about my own feelings. Now, if I'm talking about helping people, I can preach it, but doing it I find really difficult. But since I've been working on this, and it refers to a lot of my videos that I've done on self-healing, meditation, that side of things, the more I become aware of myself, aware of my emotions and things like that, the easier it's becoming. One thing that I've noticed that I've been doing a lot. Okay, but disclaimer here, I don't like crying. I've probably cried, just in the last few years, I've probably cried more times than I've ever cried. And something up till probably about 5 years ago, I hadn't cried since I was a child. A few years back, one of my grandkids, my grandson, he had meningitis in hospital and almost died. Okay, and I let it out. Okay, and the trouble is, definitely as a man, when we cry, if we don't let it out enough, we look like blobbering wrecks. Okay, when I cry, it's not pretty. Okay, women cry and they sort of get over it and they do all this with their eyes and things like that and then move on. When I cry, it's sobbing and bloody snot's coming out my nose. I look a complete mess. But that is only because I don't release it that much. And in the last couple of years, when I've been working on all this self-healing side of things, I can watch EastEnders and start to well up. Okay, if I was watching a film that we didn't expect to be sad, me and the wife the other day, and yeah, I was like, blobbering wreck. Yeah, I was watching Brassic. If you watched that, I'm really into that. I think Brassic is great, and it's on Sky, but it's been I don't have Sky, but it's been shown on Netflix, and it's a great series. But yesterday was quite emotional, to be fair, and I was having tears in my eyes and things like that. And my first instinct when I start crying is embarrassment. And I don't know why, whether that stems to us, probably does, most of it does, stems from me with kids and things like that. I don't know what this means. I'm getting really into being aware of the actions I do with my hands recently, and we do so many different things with our hands which mean things. I'm doing this quite a lot recently, and it means aligning, and it's weird when I'm talking about coming from the heart. I quite often do this, just weird stuff, eh? But the more aware we become, the more we become aware of our funny actions and things like that. It's weird, but anyway, yes. So yeah, and the more aware we become of our emotions, the more we can introduce them. A lot of the stuff that I'm doing, I was talking to this on the one-to-one session I gave yesterday in Kung Fu. Most of our issues, most of our problems come from this blockage, if you like, around the heart area. Okay, and a lot of the meditation I do nowadays really focuses on this and becoming aware of the heart. And going back to when I was at school, okay, I'm not into religion one little bit, okay, but I am into being spiritual and things like that. But they often talk about love. Love is everywhere. Love is like what we're born with, and it's supposed to be the thing that lets us be able to live properly. If you haven't got love, then you're just going to be horrible. It's about loving yourself first before you can love everybody else, and it is so true. And the more we focus on this heart thing, this thing here and here, notice my language, thing, the heart, okay, and the emotions with it, the more we can become attuned to it. Okay, so guys, a lot of people also say, I mean, definitely for me, I think it tracks back down to me trying to be emotional and talking about stuff that really is quite heavy. is not manly, which is bollocks, I'm afraid, guys, okay? Just for the fact that we find it so hard means it takes us, we need to be stronger to work on these stuff. Okay, well, one thing my instructor said to me, whether it's true or not, I don't know, it was his opinion, and I quite agree with it, is that if you haven't got the feminine side of you inside you, you'll never be a great martial artist. Because in martial arts, we like to hit things really hard and that, and it's power, and all that sort of stuff. Okay? But if you haven't got the softer side, the Tai Chi side, you're never going to be able to be a good martial artist. And it's the same with life, to be fair. Whether you're into all this woke stuff nowadays and things like that, I come from an era where the woke seems a bit weird. I can accept it, but that's why a lot of people, we become, a man's a man, okay? If you look back at my parents, or your parents, if you like, and I've got lots of issues with my parents, not horrible issues as such, but just wish they were differently and things like that, okay? Wish they brought me up slightly different in certain ways and things like that. It should have been more loving and things like that. But if you thought back how they were brought up, and then their parents, okay, we have evolved. We're evolving all the time, guys, and we are getting, we are slowly becoming more aware of what we should be doing anyway, okay? And this isn't new stuff, I don't believe, okay? Originally, when we were humans and we started to talk and things like that, I'm sure it was more natural for us then. But over the years, things have created really weird stuff, okay? And there's still people out there preaching about how to be a proper man and things like that. If you want to be a proper man, okay, learn on vulnerability. Definitely when you get into relationships, okay? You want a good relationship. You want a relationship, whether it's man and woman, or man and man and woman, it doesn't really matter. Okay, if you want to be able to communicate properly, you need this open, okay? And I'm preaching what I'm working on myself. Okay, and I always do. Most of this is stuff that I'm working on all the time. As I said, to be a master in life, or master at Kung Fu, okay, doesn't automatically mean you're brilliant, okay, and you've possessed it all. As I said, martial arts in itself, and I know I talk about martial arts a lot, but I am a martial artist, is self-mastery. To be fair, that's what life should be about anyway, really. What's the point of getting to your death and not evolving and wishing that you'd spoken better to your kids or to your partner and things like that? Don't leave things to regret, okay? Most of us start to think about this when we get to about 50 and things like that. Again, sometimes not at all, okay? Drink, alcohol and things like that, and I love a drink and a cigar and things like that, but they mask things over. Okay, so if you are drinking too much and you can only communicate when you've had a drink, then you've got issues and you need to resolve them. Well, you should be working on things. But the one thing that I did learn when I gave up drinking for a whole year, a few years back, from my birthday to the next birthday, I realised that I do mask a lot of stuff when I'm drinking. And one thing that I remember when I started drinking, when I was about sort of out with groups, not on my own, well, not the first time I got drunk was totally different. It was on 2.5 pints of cider, I think. But when I started going out with the lads and things like that, I started to realise that I had a newfound confidence in me, and I could talk. I could be the life of the soul of the party after I've had a bit of a drink. I've changed a lot. I wouldn't say I'm the life and soul of the party now when I'm drunk. Now, to be fair, I just like to drink just to get a bit merry. I don't like getting off my head anymore. Definitely being the person that I am. But I was doing it just because I could talk, and I noticed this when I gave up drinking for a long time. I lost that again, and that's the stuff that I should be working on. Okay, so what I'm saying is we mask stuff. So just if you do drink and things like that, just be aware. Okay, I know a lot of people that can't really go out properly without having a drink, and I'm one of them, which I'm learning not to, sort of thing. So yeah, vulnerability, guys, it's not a bad thing. And if you can relate, I'm not giving you much advice on this video, to be fair. Apart from, if you look back on my other videos, you'll see where I'm coming from, because it's all related. But the main thing is, it's just something that we need to be working on all the time, and you won't get that unless you really try and open up this. And if you're into the chakras and things like that, you've got a heart chakra, which really works on it. One thing, if you're into the chakra side of things, I might do a video on that one day. I'm not an expert on that either. Okay, one of my things that I really am passionate about is learning to communicate effectively. And a few times when I've done chakra sessions with people more knowledgeable than me, it's my throat chakra that struggles. Yeah, I've got a blockage here a lot of the time, and doing this video is therapy for me as well. Okay, so the more stuff we do and work on these things, okay, so I'm going back to the heart now and things, the more we can open up, okay, and talk, and then life gets so much better when we can start to open up. And I am doing it bit by bit with the wife, if you like. Okay, I'm fortunate enough. When I say I'm fortunate enough, I've been married before in the past. My wife now, we've been married together for I think it's about 6 years, maybe a bit less than that. But we've been together 9 years coming up this December. So that means I only really met her when I was about 45, late in life. But I've had to kiss a lot of frogs to get to the person that I feel is my soulmate. When you've got that, and I'm sorry if you're single and you can't relate to this, when you've got that, okay, you don't want to be the way you are. You want to evolve. You want to grow as a person, as a couple, if you like. Okay, and if I'm not working on myself, we're not going to grow. Okay, so this is just the way I think, and I think the purpose in life is to progress. If you're not progressing, you're dead. Okay, we're not necessarily dead, but yeah, it's like, what's the point? Okay, we're only on this life once. Okay, and this is one of the hardest things for us blokes to work on, is that vulnerability side of things. Okay, just think, if you're talking to somebody and it gets getting a bit heavy and things like that, notice if you're shutting down, if you're changing. Notice the language you use. Quite often when I'm talking about love, intimacy, I call it shit or things like that. And this is just me noticing. So, and then when I say, if I talk about love, okay, I'm going to talk about love now, and telling your partner what you think love is, what you enjoy in bed, if you like, okay, and things like that. I notice stuff going on in here, stuff that I'm uncomfortable with. Okay, so when we start to notice it, that is a start. So never think, oh, because I beat myself up a lot. Okay, I beat myself up, but I'm not the person that I'd like to be. And again, what I was talking about, if you go back to the depression video I did, okay, the biggest correlation you have from how you want to be to where you are now is the more chance you've got of depression. So accept the way you are now and accept that we are progressing. I'm not perfect at being intimate. I'm not perfect at being vulnerable. But I've noticed a big change in the last couple of years. So hopefully I'm not going to waste my life and get to my deathbed and think, oh, I wish I'd done that, because I'm working on it. And that's all we can do. And that's a little bit about vulnerability. So please subscribe if you're into what I'm talking about and find it interesting. I'm trying to attract my own tribe, and I don't care if you don't like it, then just don't bother subscribing. But just please get comment as well. I haven't had no comments yet, which I'm hoping to eventually. Because I don't know what you guys want unless you start commenting. So please comment about what you find useful, anything you want me talking about as well. Okay, I have got a lot of experience in life, but I'm certainly not perfect, and I'm making fuck ups all the time. Anyway, what is it I say is, the mind can be your best enemy, but it can be almost your worst enemy as well. Your best friend and your worst enemy. If it's talking shit, just don't listen to it. See you soon, guys. Thank you.